All right, this lesson is 7.sp.3. SP stands for statistics and probability. And here we're going to talk about measures of central tendency. Before we can analyze two or more different data sets, we need to talk about the basics. There are four types of measures of central tendency. Okay? So first, let's identify some vocabulary. And you should have some prior knowledge of the vocabulary. So I'm not going to teach it, but I will review it. Okay? Mean. Median. Mode. And range. Okay? Outlier. Data set. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I think that covers it. Okay? When we talk about mean, we're talking about averages. Okay? Mean is used in several different dimensions of life. When sports analysts are analyzing sports or player statistics, they often look at averages. So when they're reviewing averages of points per game or assists, field goal percentages, they are analyzing the different means. Well, the median of a data set is the middle. Okay? Mode, which piece of data is repeated over and over? Which one do you see most frequently? And the range is just the difference between the largest and smallest pieces of the data set. The outlier, well, which piece or portion of the data set is so far from the rest of it? So if we've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 19, which one do you think is the outlier? 19, because it's so far from the other ones. And of course, data set is just the information that we're reviewing. It's considered a data set. Okay? So let's talk about, or let's document the descriptions of each measure. We already said that mean is the average of a data set. So if I give you these numbers, and I want you to find the mean, you do that. You find the sum of the data, and you divide the sum by the number of data. We'll call it pieces. Okay? We know sum is a crack in the math code term, so that's telling us to add. Okay? We know the word divide to mean divide. And of course, sum, we were adding something. If we find the sum of the data, that's doing 12 plus 13, plus 1 plus 16, plus 25. When I add that, 12 plus 13 is 25, plus 1 is 26, plus 16 is 42, plus 25 is 67. Step 2 says to divide the sum was 67, by the number of data pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers or data pieces. And if I divide that, I get 13 remainder 2. If I wanted to write it as a fraction, I could do 13 and 2/5, or 13.4. Okay? That's how we find the mean. if I wanted to see if there was a mode in this data set. The mode is which one occurs the most. Which one occurs the most? Well, when I look at 12, 13, 1, 16, and 25, it looked like they're all represented the same amount of times. I only see one of each number or piece of data. So there is no mode. Okay? We need each piece or one of the pieces to reoccur. So you need to at least see at least two of them for the mode to exist. So there is no mode because each number is equally represented. Okay? Now I'm going to use this same data set to discuss median and range. Okay? Use the same data set. Paused it before I erase this. Yeah, 12, 13, 12, 13, 1, 16, and 25. Okay? Let's talk about median. The median discusses the middle. Okay? When the numbers are aligned from least to greatest, which one sits in the middle? So if I take these numbers and align them from least to greatest, which one's in the middle? Well, I don't know, Mr. Gray. It's hard for me to tell. Well, here's a little technique I learned when I was a kid. I'll start on the left side and mark through the first number. Then go to the back side and mark through the last number. Go to the left side and mark through the second number. And go to the back side and mark through the second to the last number. You'll repeat this process for longer sets of data. But when I do that, I'm left with 13 in the middle. It's directly in the middle. Okay? You could also take the smallest and largest number, add them together, and then divide by 2. You would still get 13. Take the largest and the smallest number, add them, and then divide by 2, you still get 13. Range. Range describes the difference between the largest and smallest number. Okay? Difference is another crack in the math code term. Subtraction. We know that the largest number is 25. We know that the smallest number is 1. So the range of the data is 24. There's one more term that I'd like to identify because there is an outlier in this data set. When I look at the numbers 12, 13, 16, and 25, which one looks like it has no place in that data set? The 1. To begin with, it's not double digit. That automatically makes it look like the outcast. Secondly, if I take the difference from 1 to each of these numbers, the difference is a 2-digit difference, as opposed to these two, or these two, or these two, or these two, or these two. So the outlier is 1. The 1 is the one that has no business in there. It's the outcast. We will explore how to take different data sets and use our knowledge of mean, median, mode, and range to make generalizations about the data sets in later lessons. This concludes this one. Your next task will be on math games, and there will be some worksheets that will accompany this lesson.